Croeso I cyfarfod y llawn y cwniau. Welcome to full council. We're going to tonight's agenda. Any apologies for absence? Because it was David Chaplin. What?
Yeah, Councillor Schroeder again.
Anybody else? We're going to item number 2. Any declarations of interest?
Mr Mayor, in relation to agenda item 4, council tax resolution, I'm a member of Bedlinog and Trelewis Community Council, but I have dispensation to speak and vote.
No others. Thank you. We're going to the open session. We're going to item number 3, and I'll hand on to the monitoring officer.
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. In certain circumstances, you have a power to adjourn a meeting, even a public meeting, for specific purposes. In this instance, I understand that there is a need for members to have the opportunity to have some further discussion about the resolutions that they're going to be asked to make with regard to the 2 reports that are before them this evening. So I'm going to ask you if you will adjourn this meeting for a period of 1 hour and reconvene at 6 o'clock when the meeting will then proceed.
I will, yeah.
So members, the meeting is therefore adjourned.
Members, we're going to open session now, and we'll go on to item 3, and it's the leader to speak.
Mr Mayor, the Local Government Finance Act 1992 determines that the authority delivers its budget requirement and council tax setting to Welsh Government by 11th of March 2020. The final local government settlement for 2020-21 received on the 25th of February 2020 confirmed the provisional settlement of a plus 4.85% for Merthyr Tydfil. Even though the settlement was significantly better than anticipated, the council was still faced with making difficult decisions, including 2.1 million service budget reductions, whilst accommodating unavoidable additional demands of 2.4 million. The settlement, however, allowed the council to replenish reserves by 900,000, together with a proposal to this council for the budgeted council tax increase to be reduced from 5.99% to 4.99%. Looking ahead, the medium-term financial plan projects a budget deficit of 3.6 million for 2021-22 and a cumulative 9.9 million to 2023-24. Addressing these budget deficits is a significant challenge for the council, particularly with the uncertainty surrounding potential future revenue settlements and the current global financial volatility. Ensuring the council's financial sustainability is the responsibility of all elected members working closely with senior officers. I will now review and summarise some of the key achievements from this local authority and officers. A full copy of this information is outlined below. Despite the financial constraints and continued demands made on the authority by the public, we continue to provide vital services and protected those in greatest need. All our department do their very best they can under very difficult circumstances, and in many cases are the envy of our colleagues across Wales. Before moving on, it's important to identify that we found ourselves in a similar position 12 months ago. The difference being now we have a new leadership team, particularly Alan Owen and Ellis Cooper. And also, it's important to raise the fact that over the last 12 months, we have moved from a projected £8.75 million deficit to currently the first year of a £1.7 million surplus, which seems to be lost to many people. Comments were used last year of sobering and unacceptable. I don't know what's sobering about that. I think it's very acceptable. And certainly I'm not a person who makes comments and drink about sort of things. So what I would say is we move forward, we have much to celebrate, despite where we found ourselves. And also we have much to celebrate because when we asked for help from Welsh Government, we got it. And we are now working very closely to move forward in a much more structured way. We continue to deliver services to those who are most vulnerable. To date, we have achieved this through focusing the limited resources on those areas that will have the maximum impact in maintaining people's independence to ensure that they can remain with their own families and in the community and reduce longer-term demands on services. Whilst every effort has been made to deliver services within the funding available, the increased number of children and older people that we need to protect has meant that this has continued to be challenging. These continued to be increasing demand in 2019-20 for both adults and children's services, with an increase in packages of care to maintain adults within their own home, and demand for safeguarding services remains high whilst we work to invest our preventive services in the early help hub. The availability of grants from Welsh Government in respect of winter pressures and prevention work is assisted. And both myself and Cabinet Member Chris Davis have been a regular attender at the regional partnership boards where we ask and project our needs in relation to Merthyr Tydfil. That is our concern. And I think that's been a big difference in us getting that particular funding. We have recruited all but one staff of our Stay Well at Home team, and training is currently underway with the new staff in preparation to go live. I experienced this at first hand when my nephew was taken to Prince Charles, who was learning difficulties and disabled. I was called there to assist him, and amongst it all, all the chaos, the one thing that stood out was the professional ability and competence of our Stay Well at Home team. I was lucky enough to be working with them that night, and it was a real pleasure to see it in action. With adult services and day services, we really have an amazing project that will transform the day-to-day service experience for people with dementia. With our partners in the Health Board, we have been successful in securing a large capital investment from ICF to transform our older people's day service for our people with dementia. And once more, I've been at the front end of that, visiting the site in Cllr, going through the plans, looking at the projected impact of those plans, and it is really reassuring for, unfortunately, an area of illness that is growing. I now move on to education. Whilst there have been positive outcomes for our Key Stage 2 and 3 pupils against national average, and especially for our pupil in respect of free school meals, attainment at the end of Key Stage 4 in the majority of our schools continues to be disappointing and is a cause for concern. Improving aspirations and attainment of our young people is an area of priority for the Council, and we are working hard with our schools. Head teachers, teachers and governors, and also in partnership with Central South Consortium, to address the concern and ensure higher attainment is sustainable. We continue to work hard for raising attendance rates in both primary and secondary schools. But there's been some considerable achievements again, which I think have been missed along the way. Whilst we can't underestimate the challenges that face our schools, it is pleasing to note the recent programme initiated by Central South Consortium that is supporting the leaders, teachers and governors of all our secondary schools and the RPU to work together to ensure the best practice that is evident in our schools is shared across the county borough. Two of our high schools, Bishop Headley and Penydrea, have good practice case studies written up by Estin thematic reports. We continue to have no schools placed in a reported category following inspections, and recent categorisation actively demonstrates the confidence in our school leaders to meet the raising aspirations and raising standards strategy. Our biannual student conferences continue to be an opportunity for our children and young people to engage in dialogue around the issues that are important to them. Their attendance in the conference in March gave them the opportunity to have their say about the Cyfartha Heritage Plan, giving those that will ultimately benefit from the scheme a voice from the very beginning. Moving on to planning and neighbourhood services. On the 29th of January this year, the Council adopted the first replacement local development plan, becoming the first authority in Wales to do so. The LDP is the Council's strategic land use plan, setting out its vision and objectives for the use in the county borough up to 2031. The All Wales Annual Performance Reports published by Welsh Government show that in the last 5 years, Merthyr Tydfil has been the best performing local authority in Wales in terms of determining applications within the statutory 8-week period, having determined all applications quicker than any other authority. Examples of planning applications permitted over the last year include a warehouse at Tennyco Walker, Penganddi, construction of 36 camping pods and chalets at Bike Park, Wales, new classrooms built at Ysgol Santes Tydfil, and construction of 34 affordable residential units is planned the land north of Pant Industrial Estate at the Brunei Pant. In the last year, £41,000 financial contribution towards affordable housing provision has been secured through the 106 agreements, alongside £86,000 towards public open spaces in Trelewis. £140,000 of community infrastructure levy funding has been spent on additional recycling vehicle, improvements to Gareth playground, and refurbishment of a play area in Trelewis. Waste management. Significant improvements have been made in waste management in relation to achieving the Welsh Government recovery and landfill diversion targets. In 2018-19, Merthyr Tydfil County Borough Council exceeded the Welsh Government recovery target of 58% by attaining 61.88%. Progress has continued, with a provisional recovery rate of 66.87% achieved for the first 3 quarters of this year. Although we are on track to achieve this year's increased target of 64%, there are still some improvements to be made. Our landfill rate has remained below our target minimum rate of 5%, by achieving 2.41% in 2019. With new initiatives for 2019-20, such as keeping up with the Joneses and the opening of a reuse shop, waste management continue to explore in every opportunity to achieve the Welsh Government target for recycling, reuse and landfill diversion. Merthyr Tydfil County Borough Council was ranked #1 in the UK on the Pneumonia Recycling Carbon Index. The index shows which local authorities' recycling activities are delivering the greatest carbon benefits, ultimately reducing our carbon footprint. We're not blind to the problems that exist of fly tipping. We see it around us all the time. But we know amongst the reorganisation factors that are planned for next year in relation to estate and service delivery, these matters are an absolute priority to us. Housing. We are working in partnership with Merthyr Tydfil Housing Association, Merthyr Valley Homes, to utilise Welsh Government Social Housing Grant, funding to increase the number of social housing dwellings in Merthyr and the following social housing developments that are currently underway. Adlam Court Project, the old colliery site Merthyr Vale, Woolworths, a number of 8 brand new 1-bedroom flats, East Street, 4 1-bedroom flats and 8 family side properties, Hill of Brunei, which I've already mentioned, and Cortland Terrace. We are currently developing the purchase of the Pennalan Guest House to provide an alternative supported accommodation for young people. Further projects ongoing are the Housing First in partnership with the Salvation Army and the Housing First for Youth. The Housing Department has secured over $320,000 for Housing First for Youth based at the Pont Mollos flats. The replacement of the local development plan covering 2016 to 31 has recently been approved, and it includes a target of nearly 2,250 new houses to be built by 2031. Behind all this, of course, we have a legal department working hard, having continued to provide expert advice and representation to all council departments, and has handled a number of potential high-risk, high-profile claims on behalf of the council, as well as providing advice and support on a day-to-day basis. There are some changes within the team which have resulted in increased workload and pressure. We must not forget sometimes those who are not in the limelight who took a considerable amount of work for us. Again, Democratic Services, another one of the backroom departments, I believe, that should be recognised for all the work they do in supporting us in our training and organising our scrutiny and many other factors. This team also managed the general election at very short notice, and everything went smoothly. Also behind all this, we have our HR departments, where we must ensure that people are productive, effective and happy in work. As we await outcome of our staff survey and a number of investigations in relation to the treatment of our staff and elected members, this area will have considerable focus in the future, particularly around personal development and personal well-being in work. It would be wrong to not mention also our community safety team, who use premises closure orders and problem premises causing antisocial behaviour in our communities, affect trading standards legislation, licensing legislation, and carried out numerous successful operations, investigations and prosecutions resulting in prison sentences and fines. Again, a full review is ongoing of our CCT provision, and the work by Paul Lewis and his team is not unsighted. It's absolutely essential to our safety and well-being in the town centre. We also have our comms department, who have undertaken 23 public consultation and engagements in the past year. I mentioned this in Cabinet, where I've been to courses and training, and I talk about the consultation that goes on in this town, and never ever am I challenged by anywhere else. I don't believe that they do it in the way that we do, and get involved with our community in the way that we do. The department has been highly successful in communicating to constituents what's happening in the authority, and I've had an extremely positive relationship with us, and are highly visibly and extremely engaged with the public. In the past 12 months, they've increased our following on Facebook from 9,000 to almost 12,000. Through live streaming, we've reached up to 100,000 through our events, such as our recent St. David's Day Parade and our Family Days. The team has hosted 7 large-scale events, such as the Remembrance Service, Civic Sunday and Mayoral Inauguration. In addition to this, they also support the Roman Run and the signing of the Armed Forces Covenant. On behalf of the Lord Lieutenant of Glamorgan, we also coordinate several royal visits and high-profile events across the region, which has given us an excellent profile across the area. To keep our employees informed and engaged, regular updates are essential, and this is done through Facebook, executive blogs and staff intranet. We'll continue to identify new ways to engage with our stakeholders via our social media channels, website, contact mag, and through face-to-face engagement. Regeneration. The bus station development. Morgan Sindel has been appointed as the key contractor for the development of the Merthyr Tydfil bus station. The contractor started on the 15th of July, and the proposed completion date is January 2021. The development will complement the significant investment by Welsh Government in the Core Valley Lines rail project. Work is continuing in the master plan. As a part of the next stage of the town centre redevelopment, Merthyr Tydfil County Borough Council are working with Welsh Government, Transport for Wales and the Valleys Task Force to create an integrated master plan. So this will ensure the new bus station, rail investments, create an integrated transport solution that will facilitate an exciting new phase for Merthyr Tydfil Town Centre and its wider communities. We also have work on the townscape heritage, which targets towards the historic restoration of properties in Port Molas. And also, a heritage enterprise application has been submitted to the National Lottery for the YMCA, and the result will be made available in spring. Much funding has been sought for the building for the future programme, and the Welsh Government have granted approval in principle for the designs, which are being finalised. It would be remiss not to mention the Cyfarthfa Castle and the Cyfarthfa Park and Cyfarthfa Heritage Area. We had a wonderful meeting last Friday, a heritage meeting where Joe England gave us a terrific input on the history of Merthyr Tydfil, and that was very well attended. The energy and expertise there is evident. We have a world-renowned architect who spoke at that conference and has been appointed to lead an international award team of consultants to develop a master plan to turn Merthyr Tydfil's Cyfarthfa Heritage Area into an industrial heritage centre of international significance. The team has been asked to develop a 20-year plan for Cyfarthfa Castle and its 190-acre park. Home to the Crauchetes, the famous 19th century ironmasters, and an area west of River Taff that includes historic furnaces. Moving to another element, employability. Very important in the area of Merthyr Tydfil, especially in view of recent events. The employability team within community regeneration has been very busy this year. A new programme was introduced by Welsh Government, and the team was successful in the phases of securing employment for local people. To date this year alone, the employability team has supported over 250 people into employment, providing the opportunity for 270 local people to gain qualifications and supported over 100 people to take up volunteering opportunities. Our Aspire shared apprenticeship programme has now over 20 local people in apprenticeship opportunities. And to finally, what came out in the last couple of weeks was the best of Merthyr Tydfil, both communities and elected members working together to support those in need during the floods. We lobbied our MP, Gerald Jones, who I believe may be speaking in the chamber in Westminster at this very moment, and also Dawn Bowden, to look to support us in relation to the devastation that has been caused. One of the best moments I've spent this week was down in EE and seeing the work they've done for their supporting families and supporting those left vulnerable. So, Mr. Mayor, my view, this has been a good year, a very good year, and is indicative of the hard work. Certainly those prophets of doom that said it was unacceptable, sobering reading, I don't know where that's gone, because all I see is positivity. And I believe we can get through this year and the next with a continued working together and enthusiasm from all of us. So, Mr. Mayor, I would like to thank all members, officers and staff of the authority for their continued support, particularly in such difficult times of decreasing finance and for delivering high-performance services for the citizens of Merthyr Tydfil County Borough. I now have the pleasure in moving recommendations 2.1 to 2.7 on page 4 of this report. I so move.
Second, Mr. Mayor.
Have we got any questions? Councillor Jones?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a few. Can I take members to page 60, and it's Appendix D, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up from the bottom of that block there. It refers to bank charges, 99,000 quid. Could you answer the query why we are paying bank charges, Steve?
Well, that's just a normal thing really with all kind of banks. You have to pay a charge for transactions, and it's that type of thing really, that it's just like us. If we have a bank account, we sometimes pay charges. So there is a range of things really. It's mostly the transactions that we just have going through the bank, etc. So there's a range of stuff which off the top of my head I'll have to get back to you on, but it's just a normal transaction.
Okay. On page 70, Appendix G, which is continued, if you look at 41 there, council tax payments, the last sentence, I think that's an error there. It refers to the 2009 to 2020, the budget of 6,075,000 is projected overspend. I've presumed that should be 2019-20.
Yes, you're quite right.
And can I take members to page 81, the bottom of the page, paragraph 22, refers to the Cllr new school. It says, in preparation, the new school in Cavan, Coed, is vital safe walking routes are provided for children together with road safety measures. The scheme will include new footways on Pontecarpa Road, a one-way system, a 20-mile-an-hour zone, and new crossing points, also the removal of the mini roundabout at the entrance to Mice Gwyn. But it goes on to say, failure to implement these measures prior to the school opening in April 2010-20 will increase the risk of accidents occurring to children travelling to and from the school. Mr. Mayor, I've seen in writing that because of various factors, that the school is not scheduled to open until the summer of 2021. And what I'm suggesting is that that date in there needs to be altered.
I think you're right, Clive. That date should be April 2021. You're quite right.
Yeah, but I've also seen correspondence recently that because of the work that's been done there, that it won't be open until the summer term 2021. Page 83 is my next query, Mr. Mayor. Top of the page, It says highways drainage replacement schemes. Sections of the highways drainage system have collapsed or are otherwise compromised, increasing the likelihood of localised flooding. Well, we all know what's happened in the last few weeks. What I'm asking is, where is that in the scheme? Is that something that's due to be undertaken, looked at in the next 12 months, or is it further down, much further down the line?
Sorry, Councillor Jones, do you mean in terms of timescale, when those works are planned for, or?
Yeah, exactly.
They are in the next financial year.
I mean, obviously, there's no date there, Mr. Mayor, so you had no idea exactly when that's going to be done. But thank you for that. My next question is on page 84, and it's number 45, halfway down the page, and refers to Pengunlee. It says that the site owner, the Cllr County Borough Council, has an obligation to remove significant levels of contaminants left behind from operations conducted by the outgoing lessee. Removal is necessary prior to the disposal or alternate use of land. I was under the impression, I've seen a figure in previous years, that this was likely to cost somewhere in the region of £2 million. Is that still correct?
It is the case, yes, that's what the estimated cost is. It's also the case that we are still waiting for the contractor and to be able to start work on that site. We're still waiting for the contractor to get a permit from Natural Resources Wales, but we are hopeful that next year that work will just then start. So that's when we're hoping for it to start now next year.
And Mr. Mayor, is it a fact that £2 million has been set aside, or is it over a long period of time?
That is set aside over just a number of years.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Members, any more questions? Councillor Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can I just ask the leader to say a little bit more about what the administration is doing about the street homelessness situation we've got, and how, to the extent to which it's no I don't intend to be a criticism. It's just I volunteer in the night shelter, and well, every single one of those the residents. Oh, it's about the comments that. Okay.
If there are no more questions, any comments? Councillor Sarah.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to take a few minutes. Here we are tonight considering a 4.99% increase in council tax for residents who are already struggling to make ends meet, when anything more than a 3.1% increase in line with the retail price index feels like a kick in the teeth. And of course the blame for this will be laid at the door of all 33 councillors and the chief officers who work here. But the blame for this council tax increase has to be laid firmly at the door of both Welsh Government and Westminster, and it's not as a result of the last 12 months or indeed the last 3 years of the independent administration. It has never been more clear to me that we, the residents of Merthyr Tydfil, and indeed all residents of Wales, are not getting value for money from the Welsh Government. We have seen the money received by this local authority slashed since 2008, with countless jobs lost and services cut, while spending at Welsh Government and the National Assembly for Wales Commission has skyrocketed. Last week we saw published a rapid assessment for Welsh Government on the current state of Merthyr Tydfil County Borough Council, but tonight I'm going to give you a rapid assessment of Welsh Government as I see it. I'm going to give a few examples of the carefree spending by our Welsh Government while the residents of Merthyr Tydfil suffer. Staffing costs. Staffing costs at the National Assembly for Wales Commission have increased from 20.5 million in 2012-2013 to 28.4 million in 2018-2019. and the average number of full-time equivalent staff at the National Assembly for Wales Commission has risen from 358 in 2012-2013 to 442 in 2018-19. Cardiff Airport. The Welsh Government purchased their vanity project, Cardiff Airport, in 2013 for £52 million and have posted the following losses. 4.9 million in 2015-16, 5.97 million for 2016-17, 6.63 million for 2017-18, 18.5 million for 2018-19. Now, to offset these losses, Welsh ministers are considering loaning Cardiff Airport a further 6.8 million after approving a loan of 21.2 million last year. The M4 relief road. Since 2013, £114 million has been spent drawing up proposals for an M4 relief road around Newport before this decision was taken to pull the whole project last year. A quote from 1am last year went as follows: "The Welsh Government should be thoroughly embarrassed that its failure to make a timely decision has meant that such an obscene amount of public money has been wasted." And a quote from another AM was, "It is frankly shambolic for the Welsh Government to spend £114 million on an inquiry, only to then ignore that inquiry when it comes out with a clear recommendation." Circuit of Wales. £9 million of public money wasted on the Circuit of Wales before a decision was made to offer no further support. A lot of money was wasted, and it's not just the money, it's the hope people were given. Pinewood Film Studios. Not only have we got a Welsh Government with their own airport, they've also got involved in the film industry. The Welsh Government originally spent £9.5 million on buying and fitting out a film studio for Pinewood at Ventlug. I don't know how to pronounce that, sorry. A Wales Audit Office report has previously estimated that the Welsh Government, or to be more precise, the taxpayer, was paying £392,000 a year to run the studio, and a management fee that was being paid to Pinewood has been kept confidential. The report from the Wales Audit Office said the anticipated demand for Pinewood Studio Wales did not materialise and that the site was not suitable for some high-end productions. A report released in February 29 said the agreement lacked detail, ignored potential conflicts of interest, and saw the government spend millions on a building with a leaking roof without even carrying out a structural survey.
Councillor Salmon, can I remind you, you've got 5 minutes and you've got 1 minute left.
I'll try and hurry. £39 million land sales scandal. The Regeneration Investment Fund for Wales, an arm's length body of the Welsh Government, has been given more than 20 plots of land around Wales to sell to raise cash for regeneration schemes. Now, just some of this land neighbouring Lisfane, one of the most affluent parts of Cardiff, was sold to South Wales Land Developments Limited for the farming value of 1.8 million, when its potential open market value for residential housing was at least 39 million. Now, for you to better understand the effect of increasing council tax on the residents of Merthyr Tydfil, I got some interesting figures for you. The number of residents that have been issued with a magistrate's court summons in respect of council tax arrears are as follows. In 2015, 3,012. 2016, 2,834. 2017, 2,946. 2018, 2,842. And 2019, 2,154.
Councillor Salmon, I'll give you 15 seconds to sum up.
I'll be 30 seconds.
You have 15 seconds.
So every year for the past 5 years, an average of up to 11.49% of households in Merthyr Tydfil have been issued with a court summons in respect of their council tax arrears. We've got the Welsh Government, who have slashed the money going to local authorities over the last decade, now criticising those very same local authorities for not having enough staff to perform statutory duties in an emergency, or that these organisations aren't robust enough.
Councillor Salmon, I'd like to stop you, sorry.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Are there any other comments? Councillor Jones?
Well, Mr. Chairman, that was very interesting, as the prospect of Councillor Salmon standing in the Welsh Assembly elections in 2 years' time. We obviously know what his theme is going to be. But can I remind everyone that the heading of the report is the budget requirement and council tax 2021 and the state of the council debate, and that's to do with Merthyr Tydfil County Borough Council. I hear what Councillor Salmon has said, but clearly what he didn't say was that the cause of the reduction in monies for all public bodies, including local government and every devolved administration in the United Kingdom, should be laying at the door of the Tory government, and before that, the Liberal Tory government. We've had 10 years of austerity. It's only in the last few months that the pedal's been eased. And if anybody thinks that because we've had an increase of 4.85% in our settlement, that that's going to erase all the issues that we got in local government, they must be living in cloud cuckoo land. And as far as I'm concerned, the problem here should be laid solely at the door of the Tory government for the United Kingdom.
Councillor Gareth Lewis.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. No elected member wants to raise council tax. In an imperfect world, we'll all be sitting around here today agreeing to a 0% rise or at the very most an inflationary rise. Unfortunately, this idealistic scenario is, despite the much more favourable settlement from Welsh Government, the highest end of Stand Declan in 14 years. This scenario is simply impossible to achieve. Our finances at Merthyr Tydfil County Borough Council remain in a perilous state, and this is reflected in a recommendation of a 4.99% council tax rise by the lead independent group. It's important to remember that this is the third budget delivered by the lead independent administration, and at this juncture I think it's important to reflect on previous council tax rises made by the independent group. In year 1 of the independent administration, the council tax rise was 4.15%. In year 2 of the independent administration, the council tax rise was 5.99%. If a 4.99% rise is agreed tonight, that would mean an cumulative council tax rise of 15.13% over 3 years. Members of the public need to know what that means in reality. What it actually means is that Band D base rate has increased by £283.50 in 3 years since the independent administration took control of the council. That's the equivalent of £23.63 per month. That does include the police precept, and that is based on the Band D base rate. Admittedly, residents, the majority of residents are between Band A and C. However, I think that's a very good reflection on what the increase in council tax is doing to the public's pocket. Thank you.
Councillor Roberts.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. I wasn't going to say anything on this, but I think I will. Looking back at the settlements from Welsh Government, I've done my own digging and come up with the following. And Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, please. 2013, we received a 0.+3 increase. 2014, a minus 2.07 reduction. 2015, a minus 2.52 settlement. 2016, a minus 0.7 settlement. And 2017, a minus 0.5. Compared to the last 3 years, Mr Mayor, where in 2018 we received a minus 1%, last year we received a plus 0.81%, and in 2020, this year, we received a plus 4.85%. And to echo my colleague on my left here, Gareth, Councillor Gareth Lewis, with the council tax, in 2013, the council set a 3.2% increase. 2014, a 3.95% increase. In 2015, when we faced a minus 2.5% settlement, a 4.5% increase, which was the highest of its time. In 2016, a 3.5% and in 2017 at 2.9%. So those are figures that needed to be mentioned this evening. Thank you.
Councillor Mytton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think I just need to remind my colleagues of the times when they were in administration. We didn't come into this council and take over administration in 2017 with a bound full of money and every single service where it should be. The last administration tore apart neighbourhood services, ripped out services, got rid of staff, and that's the position we found ourselves in 2017. Had the last administration kept agreeable council taxes at an acceptable level, we wouldn't be in the position we are in today. Nobody wants to rise council taxes. Not one member of the 33 sitting council members here want to rise council tax, but it is the position that we are in. What we should be lobbying for, perhaps, and we were grateful of the settlement before Christmas, of course we were, but what we should be lobbying for is that those settlements continue in a positive manner for those local authorities suffering the most, and that those local authorities with absolutely horrendous amounts of reserves sitting pretty in their bank accounts, that they use them, and the money that's available from Welsh Government, from Westminster, wherever you want to call it, comes to those local authorities that desperately need it the most.
Councillor Rogers.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, may I congratulate Councillor Salmon on that statement or speech, because if it wasn't your maiden speech, you want to stick it was outstanding. Now, I got a bee in my bonnet today, having talking about the Welsh Assembly. 400 jobs announced today, 300 jobs announced about 6 weeks ago, all in Cardiff. Now, what are we up here? What is Blaenau Gwent? What is Caerphilly? What is North Wales? What is Mid Wales? I think the time has come to scrap it. And I stood twice myself, but it's failed. When we had the Welsh office and we could demonstrate there, we could go there. And we could show our discontent with what's going on. But now it's all afeard now of going to the Welsh Assembly. So I think that the excuses for the Welsh Assembly coming from government is not good. If they cannot down there get stuck in and get more money from this national government, they don't deserve to be there. That's the point. Don't make excuses for the Welsh Assembly all the time. Could I just say my bonnet today, that's 700 jobs have gone to Cardiff. Not one to Merthyr Tydfil, Blaenau Gwent, Caerphilly. Now we want to start waking up in this council. I've already spoken to the leader. I've been to see him today. I've spoken to him about it. Because I know he got a meeting coming up with Dawn to meet in here, because this is what we want to start doing. Get on with it, get the business done, but unless we're going to receive the support from the Welsh Assembly, we're not going to go anywhere. Because it is our assembly, it is Wales. They're not doing us favours. Why? The employment and the skills should be coming everywhere, not only to Cardiff. Cardiff had everything for. They took out coal years ago. Merthyr was bigger than Cardiff. They made sure they got it. So let's be honest about it. Don't blame national government all the time. Blame the Welsh Assembly and the people who are in it. Get hold of your local member and find out what is happening. So congratulations, Councillor Declan, Councillor Declan Salmon. That was outstanding. Let's put the blame where the blame belongs.
Before I bring the leader in, anybody else want to comment? Councillor Rogers.
I can't match Councillor Salmon's contribution, and I'm not going to try, and I'm not going to take so long to do it. But I would like to echo the comments he made, and some of the comments that Councillor Jones said, that we can blame a lot on austerity from the Tory government in Westminster. But I've got to say, we cannot really, if we're getting less money from Westminster, it doesn't relieve the Welsh Assembly of budgeting properly. And if they hadn't been so extravagant and wasting their money on the screams that Councillor Salmon outlined, they would have more money to spend on the health service and the important services and local government. And perhaps tonight we wouldn't be in the position we are in having to increase the council tax like we have. I've never been a fan of the Welsh Assembly. The only thing good about it was they employed me, but and they got rid of me. But paid me off, mate. But I've never supported them. I didn't vote for them, and I think the best thing can happen to them was to be scrapped. It's not going to happen, but I would lay the blame at the door of the Welsh Assembly, because it doesn't relieve them of the obligation to budget properly simply because they don't get much money from Westminster.
Thank
you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to know, really, Mr. Mayor, when this Labour group are going to take responsibility, when the Labour Party are going to take responsibility. The finances of this council, nothing to do with this Labour group, it's all the administration. The national finances, all to do with national government, nothing to do with Welsh Government. Let me tell you, I echo what Councillor Amos says, and I echo what Councillor Rogers says. M4 relief for 114 million wasted. Widening of the A465, £100 million overspent, wasted. Earmarked reserves within RCT, they're allowed to hold £129 million. I sat in the governance scrutiny last week where Councillor Clive Jones echoed the point that we needed some software for our HR performance. We can barely afford it, yet Rhondda Cynon Taf, just 8 miles away, I've got £129 million in their reserves. Their annual salary bill, as Councillor Salmon outlined, £28 million. That is responsibility, and it's Welsh Government's responsibility, and it's about time the Welsh Labour Party took responsibility.
Councillor Chris Barry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I'll be very brief, and Councillor Mytton won't be surprised to know I don't agree fully with the remarks. But I'd like to congratulate her, because she's only one of the lead group who's spoken about the budget, which we're supposed to be talking about tonight, and not national politics. Let's talk about what we're supposed to talk about, please.
Councillor Cllr.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. I wasn't going to speak tonight, but I'm just going to say something very quickly to echo. And I got to be honest, I've listened to quite a few things which have gone across the chamber, and there are some things which, the Welsh Assembly Government have spent money on, which, I probably disagree with myself. But, we are where we are. With regards to this council, we should be talking about this council, and what Councillor Barry is talking about is us waking up and smelling a coffee as a Labour group in Merthyr, I suppose. Let's put the ball back in this court then. If we as a full council are working together and as a transparent council, let's all see the exempt cabinet reports of other decisions which are being made in this council.
Everybody has been wandering off the subject. I've allowed the latitude around the political comments because that's been okay. No, because it's not anywhere near the subject of the State of the Council debate. So, unless anybody's got any further comments, I think it's for the leader to close the debate.
Thank you. I just put my back 12 months on where we had a conversation that we were putting together as a chaotic leadership group. Despite the disruptive tactics of Labour, they seem intent to doing anything and putting something off going where they got to go, other than doing something tangible and constructive. I personally and the Cabinet have worked hard to work together. I'm not hiding anything. It's a legal decision about what you get to see, and certainly there seems an immovable Tuesday meeting that you can't do anything around other than the Tuesday meeting. But let's come to the point. We came here 12 months ago. We now, with a different leadership, working together with different sets of officers, developing things. We said that we're going to might take money out of reserves. We didn't take money out of reserves. We actually put money back into reserves. There was a scandalous situation as far as children looked after. Yet what we do, we restructured that and made savings, went from £870,000 projected overspend to something like 70,000. We did all these things. Clearly, it's not what you want to hear in my speech, but look at all the stuff that's going on. Merthyr's absolutely booming. More people in employment, less people in unemployment, million more visitors, 20 businesses opened up in the high street are still sustaining. Wake up, Labour. Just get off your backside and do something, because that's how you get things done. and that we will continue to do something. You're more than happy to criticise us on what we do. You don't seem to want to do anything yourself. We are moving forward. We are moving forward. Just join in and do what you can instead of being critical of everything. Thank you very much.
Can we take the vote, please? Thank you. It's complete and carried. We go on to committee report number 4, Council Tax Resolution 2020-2021. Councillor Andrew Barry.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Council Tax Resolution 2021. This report is the legislative element of our budget setting process, where we disclose our calculations of our budget requirement, council tax for 2021, and approve the formal council tax resolution. Our budget requirement, Mr Mayor, is £127,462,780, with a Band D council tax for Merthyr Council now of £1,669.71. The Police and Crime Commissioner for South Wales stands at £272.72, and the Bedlinog and Lewis Community Council at £19.95. The formal resolution is at Appendix 1. The recommendations are at 2.1 to 2.4. The formal statutory Council Tax Resolution 2020-21 is outlined in Appendix 1 and summarised in paragraph 5.1 be noted and approved. 2.2. The Police and Crime Commissioner for South Wales approved precept for 2021 of £5,018,102 for Merthyr County Borough Council area being noted. 2.3. The Bedlinog and Lewis Community Council approved precept for 2021 of £23,250 for the Community Council area being noted. 2.4. The Welsh Government 2020-21 non-domestic rate for Wales of 53.5 pence in the pound be noted. I move, Mr Mayor.
I second, Mr Mayor.
Any questions, members? Councillor Gareth.
Yes. Can I take members to page 112 of the report? It's the Police and Crime Commissioner for South Wales. Something perhaps I should know, but I don't, so I'm going to ask the question. With regards to the 5.9% increase, I'm of the understanding that it's decided when they're there together as a group in the commissioners. So I understand that Cheryl is the representative for the council, which is on the report. So does she? My question is: does she have delegated authority to agree to that increase when she's there, or should the representative be coming back to the council for us to be talking about it before it goes back?
No, it's not that it's delegated authority, it's that she's part of that group, but they set the precept. She isn't agreeing it on your behalf, but they are agreeing what the commissioner will ultimately ask you to claim. Ask you to sign off. So she's not agreeing it on your behalf. They, as a committee, discuss it and come to a conclusion, but it's the commissioner who is reporting it to you. So it's the commissioner who is setting the precept or asking you to agree the precept.
Any other questions? If there are no questions, any comments? Can we put it to the vote, please? Thank you. That's complete and carried. We go back to agenda item 5 to deal with any urgent business or correspondence. I have none. And item 6 to receive communications from His Worship the Mayor. I have none. Thank you much, Chairman. A very good night. Thank you.